What's up, jerks? Sorry, haven't done that one in a while. This is the start of another vlog where I give somebody a second chance. Either a book that I've already read and might have read it at a wrong time, or an author that I read a book by and was like, no more, but just kidding, one more chance, okay? So this is me giving a book another chance. I will be reading in this vlog The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon. Okay, so let me tell you about this book. Some context for those of you who haven't heard of this or who don't care about this genre, which is fantasy / dystopia / sci-fi. Back in 2013? Yeah, it was 2013 because this is the 10th anniversary edition and it was published in 2023. So, you know, smart. Samantha Shannon, up and coming author. Publishers went at us hard with the marketing for this, literally compared her and her series to be the next J.K. Rowling and the next Harry Potter. And I was well deep in my love for that series at that point, and this was insulting to me. I was like, I got curious. I always get curious. I always read the book, and I read it, and I was irritated. I was underwhelmed. I rolled my eyes. It was not great. I read the book. Actually, I was reading it on New Year's Eve, true story. I remember sitting there and writing my review in time before Cannonball Read, which is a book blog that I post books reviews to also, before they closed for the year. And I was about to go to a New Year's Eve party, which I got the flu the next day. Also the next day, it snowed in Tucson. Also the next day, Friends dropped on Netflix. I don't know why I have such memories of all of this. My memory is awful, so I don't know why. I remember sitting there and being like righteously upset at how betrayed and disappointed I was by the publishing company that thought this book was good. And the main reason I thought that is that she was very, very young. I think she was like 19 years old when they published this book. And they were like, we're going to publish all 7 of these. There's 7 of them, just like Harry Potter. And I think it was, Bloomsbury was just looking, Harry Potter had just finished 6 or 7 years before. And they wanted their money, I think. So they went looking and they found the precocious, imaginative, young author, Samantha Shannon. And she was indeed precocious. And she was indeed ambitious. And clearly very smart. But couldn't write a novel. I know there are people that like this book, okay? So just don't come at me. But in my opinion, and clearly the author agreed with me because she rewrote the book, it just wasn't that great. It was, the author was not fully baked. She was not done. Insert cookie dough metaphor here.
I'm cookie dough. I'm not done baking. I'm not finished becoming whoever the hell it is I'm gonna turn out to be.
She was too immature. She wrote this book series, I think, starting when she was 16 or 17 years old. I can't tell you if you guys published the utter nonsense that I was writing when I was at that age. It like would be embarrassing for me, okay? Even if an editor took a crack at it. So it was just like, she's clearly very smart, but doesn't have perspective. And the key thing that just always sticks in my mind with this series, I've forgotten a lot of it, but the key thing that always sticks in my mind is that she very, very clearly read A Clockwork Orange or saw the movie A Clockwork Orange and decided it would be a great idea to model the society / one of her characters after the way they talk in that movie. And for some reason, this really just annoyed the hell out of me. And I was like, I don't think that a seasoned author would have done something like that. It was very overwritten, very like unaware of itself. That's just the feeling I had the entire book. The ambition of the story just wasn't enough to pull me through. And I said to myself, self, you will read Samantha Shannon when she writes a book that is more mature. So meanwhile, fast forward, she publishes 4 books in the series, like a novella. I even met her. I escorted her around the Tucson Festival books. I actually have a signed copy of the Mime Order, even though I knew I was never going to read it. I liked her when I met her and I wanted her autograph. So I bought a copy of the book that I thought I was never going to read and had her sign it. So now I have her signature somewhere in my house. Fast forward to, was it what year was that? 2017, 2018? Whatever she published, Priory or the Orange Tree. Gorgeous cover. Just pulled me right in. The idea of an epic fantasy in one book seemed really like a challenge to me. And I was like, oh, this is intriguing. And it was very queer. And I was just like, I'm going to try her. I think it's time. And then I gave it 5 stars. And then I read Day of Fallen Night and I gave that 5 stars. And I was like, oh, she is like one of my favorite authors. Should I reread The Bone Season? And I was like, no, I don't need to. That series is behind me. Like, I'm not going to go back to her much inferior stuff before she had matured as a writer. And, you know, her frontal lobe had stopped forming or whatever. And I was like, it's fine. And then they come out with this, which, depending on how this goes, could be a great idea. The cover artist is the same cover artist for this edition that did Priory of the Orange Tree and Day of Fallen Night. And I think that is a very smart decision because the original covers are really boring. And this is absolutely gorgeous. All of these cityscapes and the flowers and the colors and the gold foiling. It's gorgeous. And I have the first 4 books in this edition now. And I don't even know if I'm going to like this. Anyway, okay, I'm terrible at storytelling. Don't buy my book in the future. Just kidding. If I write a book, please buy it. Just kidding. If I write a book, I'm writing under a pen name, so you won't even know. Samantha Shannon rewrote her first novel. She looked back and she was like, I agree with Ashley, this random book reviewer from 2013. I need to rewrite this book series. And then obviously if you rewrite the first book in a series as complicated and long as the one that she is taking on, you got to rethink some things probably in later books. So she rewrote books 2, 3, 4, and 4 as well. And then book 5 is coming out next year and it's caught up. This is a fully revised edition with new material. So she changed things and added things. The note in here says, The Bone Season, oh, she was 21, sorry. She was older than I thought she was. The Bone Season was originally published in 2013 when I was 21, so she's 32 now. The 10th anniversary edition you're about to read has been significantly revised. It follows roughly the same course of events, rewritten with a bit more experience under my belt. If you jump straight from this edition to the sequels, you may come across some minor inconsistencies. These will be corrected in the revised sequels, which will be published together in 2024. I hope you enjoy this series as much as I've loved working on it for the last decade. So roughly, it roughly follows the events. So I think that this is pretty significantly revised and updated, which excites me. Now, the main problem here is that I wasn't going to go back and reread a book that I gave 2 stars to, because that's what I gave The Bone Season the first time around, is 2 stars. I was not going to reread. That wasn't going to happen. So I don't really remember much about the book, except for the stuff that annoyed me so much that it stayed in my brain forever. Actually, let me read you the quote from my review. Let's go through my review, actually, because I want to tell you what my thoughts were. Aside from like the general, I want to see if I have any specific thoughts, so that when I have specific thoughts later in the video, they will have corresponding whatever. In my review, I said, this isn't the worst book I've read by far. It is one of the most frustrating, mostly because Samantha Shannon is clearly very smart, so that makes it all the more aggravating that this turned out the way that it did. I have lots of thoughts, and I will try to parse them out in a concise and entertaining manner. But I make no promises because it is New Year's Eve and I'm in my party dress. Oh, maybe that's why I remember that it was New Year's Eve. Okay, so I complain about the marketing plan. So I remember that. To sum it up quickly, The Bone Season is the first of 7 novels that take place in a dystopian alternate world that diverged about 200 years before present time. It's a world where clairvoyance is real, and those possessing the ability are either persecuted or conscripted for police service, and where others choose to practice their talents in criminal underworlds as an alternative. But just as Shannon begins to describe this world to us, and we're already feeling lost, our main character, whose name I've now forgotten, it's Paige, is kidnapped by a mysterious race of beings who are also clairvoyant, and then we have to learn about that world on top of the other one. Everything has a label. There is a new and confusing terminology for everything Shannon could have possibly thought of, and it is an incredibly trying reading experience. Not that challenging books are a problem, but there's a way to do it that she didn't manage. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going, okay? You know, I might cut out some of this. Who knows? It's a 1-book vlog, though, so shh. And then it quickly became clear to me that the plot of the novel was just the standard YA romance with a super special, and I spelled special weird, heroine hiding underneath the thin and very confusing exterior of the world Shannon has created. Our heroine is so special, all caps, and nobody has ever had powers like hers, and the bad guy falls in love with her, exclamation mark. And only she can save the day, exclamation mark. I'm being sarcastic. It was about 1/3 of the way through the novel when I just gave up trying to keep track of everything and just let the crazy wash over me. The cardboard cut out secondary characters, the way the heroine fixated on things with no reason. The cardboard's cut out, okay, I'm putting sentence fragments in here, so bear with me. I don't know why I did that. Bad Ashley. The cardboard cut out secondary characters, the way the heroine fixated on things for no reason. And Shannon clearly expected us to care about those things as well, only I didn't want to. The constant info dumping and violations of show don't tell. Seriously, that was all one non-sentence. Bad. She uses complicated words to impress when simple ones would do. That is a key marker of somebody who's too smart for their own good and doesn't have perspective. She's got perspective now, though. So I love the prior review on Street. You know, I need to read both of those books again. I need to reread them. Last minute plot contrivances to get her story in place. Actually, that's a sentence fragment also. Whatever. I'm going to stop critiquing my own grammar. But really, I should have had good grammar if I was critiquing. So, like, if you're going to write a 2-star review, you should, like, do it grammatically correct so that people don't judge you. A romance that comes out of nowhere. She basically lifted a character. Here we go. She basically lifted a character straight from A Clockwork Orange and probably thought we wouldn't notice. Maybe because her target market won't have read that book yet. I stand by that statement. And I pulled out a quote. Oh Lord, I'm not going to try and do the British accent that goes with this. Look at you with dewdrops in your shiners. Raise your head, oh my lovely. O is spelled with just an O and it's capitalized. Raise your head, oh my lovely. What do you want? Sympathy? Pity? You won't find that from him, just like you didn't find it from me. The world is an abattoir, my molisher. What the fuck is a molisher? Raise those barking irons now. Let me see you give him hell. And then I just wrote, ugh, shut up. If you've read Clockwork Orange, just please tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. That is not just her lifting straight from there. I might read the second book of the series. I did not read it. But maybe not. Reading this one was torture because a lot of the things I see Shannon doing as an author are things I used to struggle with as well. So I saw it. Okay, it's really arrogant to say that she was doing things that reminded me of myself because I said she was really smart earlier. And that must mean that I think, but you know what? Fuck it. I know what my IQ is. I'm smart, okay? I'm socially inept. I'm autistic, probably very, like 90% sure, 95% sure that I'm autistic. I have obsessive compulsive disorder. I have social anxiety. I have depressive episodes, okay? Just let me have my intelligence, okay? Just let me. It's like looking into a mirror that shows my past and I can see myself thinking the wrong things are good and being an idiot and I don't have the power to stop myself. Anyway, in my case, it didn't matter because nobody was publishing the shit that I wrote when I was her age and mistaking complications for complexity and depth as Bloomsbury seems to have done with this series. Damn, that's past me 10 years ago. I was like fresh out of graduate school, like my brain still worked. But I still think that, like, maybe they saw it, maybe the publishers saw that it wasn't actually that deep, but they just thought they could sell it, which it turns out they could. So they were probably right, but they got it wrong. It wasn't good enough to sell as well. Not even nearly as well. I bet like if we're saying this is Harry Potter sales, this is like as big as my frame. Bone Season sales are like this, okay? So they didn't succeed, but it was a best-selling series and they made it to book 4. And then I finished by saying, most of all, I just really wish whatever person accepted her manuscript for publication would have been thinking with their brain instead of their wallets. This book and its author are going to suffer for it. Okay, that was pretty dire last sentence there that I included, but I think overall I was right. I was maybe a little bit too harsh on it, like with a step back and without all my weird personal feelings about people who try to do things ambitiously and aren't talented enough or mature yet enough to do things. Like it really bothers me personally when somebody reaches for something and misses. and I can see what they were going for, and they very much don't hit their target, rather than like just a straight up mediocre book. Mediocre is mediocre, you know? You can't get too involved in that. But when you see the potential and it doesn't deliver, it eats at me. All that said, I've been talking for 18 minutes and 54 seconds about how much I disliked this first book, but lived in hope for future books from Samantha Shannon that I could love. And now I am living in hope that over the next 2 1/4 days, probably less because I'm probably going to go to bed early tonight because I'm almost 40 years old. Did I just blow some of your minds? Actually, maybe I don't look as young anymore because my face has filled out because of my meds. My brain meds, which I love, have caused me to gain weight. So that is the one thing I do not like about them. I do not like having to buy a new wardrobe. I don't know if it makes me look older or not. I don't know. I'm going to go start this, and I will update as soon as I have thoughts. Okay, hi. My night guard's in, so sorry about whatever. I'm going to bed right now. I'm very tired, but I just wanted to touch base because I'm 40 pages in to the bone season, and this feels like a completely different book than the last time I read it, which is kind of wild. I don't remember super a lot about that book, but I do remember, I thought I remembered at least her capture being different, like a lot different, and also she 1000% got rid of that line that I read out loud. It is just gone. He talks way more normally now. So I just feel very vindicated. I feel very vindicated right now. And actually, I'm really enjoying myself. This feels effortless in a way that the first version most definitely did not. And I'm sinking into this world despite all the terminology. So she's clearly learned how to world build. And anyway, I'm only 40 pages in, so I'll check in tomorrow when I'm done sleeping. Bye. It's very dark in my bedroom, except for Pippin is stuck on the curtain, so you guys can't see that. Wow, my hair, okay. Pippin, stop! I don't know why I decided to film right now. Also, my night guard is still in. I need to finish this book today. It is Saturday. My blackout curtains are tricking you. It's pretty light out. Pippin! Are you what the Oh my god, he's climbing the curtains. He hasn't done that since he was a kid, and I gotta go. Okay, it's morning time. I'm cooking breakfast right now. Waiting for my Trader Joe's hash browns to air fry. Pippin, don't. He's threatening my fancy artwork of the Argonath, and I'm not gonna have that. Okay, Pippin. He's just, okay. So I wanted to give you like a real update on the bone season. So I'm on page 123. Hey, friend. Hey, friend. Can you please move? Pippin, do you want to get in my lap? What if you, no. On page 123, and I'm liking it. So at this point, like the beginning of the book was so different feeling, but once she got to the place with, they're called the Rephaim, not sure how to say it, they're aliens basically from a different dimension. It felt a little more familiar, but it also felt a lot more assured and less annoying than I remembered it being the first time. And I'm pretty sure I just read, Pippin, stop! Come here. You're not. Yeah, I know. Come here. Being a mother is very difficult. He just wants to be involved. I think, what was I saying? Oh, I just read a scene, I think, that wasn't in the first book, but I could be wrong because I don't remember very much. So basically what this book is about. So I've already explained a little bit. I think it takes place in 2059, but it's an alternate timeline. Pippin, what the fuck are you doing? It's an alternate timeline that diverged apparently in the 1850s when these aliens arrived. Now, keep in mind, this is technically, and this is not spoilers because you find out in the first 50 pages, and I don't consider that spoilers. And a lot of it is in the blurb. But if you really don't want to know anything about the book, you know, skip ahead. So basically, in the 1850s, these Pippin, no! It's driving me crazy. Yeah, don't, with the fake flowers. No, those were expensive. Stop. Stop threatening my flowers. They're not for you to play with. They're from China. Yeah, I bought these like pretty flowers off Etsy, and they took a month to get here because they were from China. So, Pippin, I can't film a video with you in this house. So these creatures, okay, let's start with Paige though. So she is working for the underground because she is a clairvoyant, and being clairvoyant in England is illegal for some reason. Stop. And she essentially lives it's a totalitarian state, and they call people who are clairvoyant unnatural, and they're very taboo. And also they live in this Republic of Sion, but it's not a republic. It's a totalitarian state, and they have conquered like all the countries around them. I think there's 5 or 6 or 7 countries. Pippin, stop. There's 5 or 6 or 7 countries that they have either conquered or that have joined them willingly. So that's the state of the world, and that started happening in the 1900s with the death of Queen Victoria and the end of the monarchy. Paige is clairvoyant, which is illegal to be a clairvoyant, even though she can't help it, you know, as one does in a totalitarian state. She works for the criminal underworld because you either are a traitor and work for the police for 30 years and then are executed, or you work for the underground. And the underground, there's this criminal clan. And she's the second in command for one of the main chief dudes. I don't remember. His name is Jackson. He was the character that annoyed the hell out of me in the first book, but he's fine in this version. And one day she's on the subway, and some people show up who can read auras, like, and they're not supposed to be there. It's like a random spot check, because normally traveling during the day, you're okay. The guards can't see auras, so you're fine if you're a clairvoyant and you're just walking around. But they did a random spot check with people who can see auras. So she and this guy in the train fight back because they don't really have a choice. And she ends up accidentally killing one of the guards and displacing the other one's spirit. So that, I'm not going to go into that, but Paige is something called a dreamwalker, which is a rare type of clairvoyant. And she can go into people's dreamscapes, which is the spiritual place where your soul resides. It's like the spiritual version of your body is your dreamscape. And there's 5 levels, and Paige can wander through all of it. Pippin, stop eating those. What do you want? Go to sleep. Go sleep. She ends up killing these guys, and she's like, well, I mean, she didn't even bother trying to clean up anything. Like, she knows she's going to get caught. So she ends up running to her father's house for some dumb reason and essentially says goodbye to him without saying goodbye. And then she goes up to the roof when she senses other people with auras coming, and they capture her and they take her to the Tower of London. But instead of executing her or putting her in prison like she thinks they're going to do, they take her to Oxford, which everyone in this world believes is abandoned because something bad happened there. But it turns out it's not abandoned. It is very much occupied by the Rephaim, however you say it, who are these beings who it turns out appeared in the 1850s and started messing around with history. And for whatever reason, they are the force behind making clairvoyance illegal. We haven't learned about exactly why they do what they do yet. They do feed on clairvoyance, so I'm sure that's part of it. And then they regularly bring clairvoyants in from the human world because they feed on them, but also they want to train up their powers and control them and use them as a sort of like army to fight these creatures called the who also came through this rift with them in the 1850s and who eat souls or something, or they definitely eat bodies also, because some of the people. Anyway, that's where we're at. Paige is in Oxford. She has been chosen to be cared for by this fancy higher up dude who she's supposed to call Warden, but his name is like Arcturus or something. And, you know, he's the one that in the first version of this book that I was annoyed with, that they fell in love, because it was, well, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of that kind of storyline in the first place, but it was not done well. I didn't buy it. My neighbors are out and I don't want to, they already think I'm weird, but I think they're weird because they go out and they sit in front of my house and they smoke on the curb, and you're supposed to be 100 feet away from the building, and they are not 100 feet away from the building, and it's disgusting. Pippin is now occupied by the neighbors who walked by. He's very concerned. I wonder if the Roadrunner will come visit. I have seen like 4 out of like 7 days this week, this Roadrunner wandering around in the mornings in front of my house, and he's pretty cool. So, although I almost ran over him with my car yesterday evening, so he needs to figure his shit out. Anyway, I'm having a much more positive reaction to this book than I did the first time through. It is more of a slower read than I remember it being the first time, but then again, I didn't tend to like have timetables. Back when I read this in 2014, I didn't schedule out my TBR. I didn't give myself a time limit. I just read until I was finished with the book, which is a more normal way of doing things, but I can't do that anymore. So for various reasons. So I don't know how long it's going to take me to read it. I really want to finish it by tomorrow morning at the latest. But actually, I want to finish this by today. I want to finish it by today so I can have my thoughts wrapped up, and I'll just do this all day. I have to go to work at 10 a.m. when I'm going to eat my food, and then I have to get ready for work, and then I'll be home at like 1:30, and then I will just do this all day. Those are my thoughts so far. I'm trying to squash my feelings from previous versions of this book, because this really does feel like very different and much more mature of a story. Even if the underlying bones are the same, they are being presented in a way that is making it feel much more like a story I'm interested in than it was previously. So far, so good. I'll be back probably after work. Got Trader Joe's hash browns, half of an avocado, Eggies, salsa. Perfect. And then my Golden Girls mug with tea in it. And Pippin. Get down. Update soon, but my phone is charging and I'm about to sit down here with the window open, natural light, got my water, got my book, got the cats, please ignore my laundry, and then if you'll look up there, I'm using my wrong hand right there, those are my copies of the next 3 books. Also, I'm going to zoom in on Pippin while I tell you this. I spent a large portion of today looking into the rest of the series and like what to expect, which is something that I do when I start something new, so I think I'm already invested, if that tells you how it's going. Pippin! Hi. Are you going to sit by the window? Are you going to look out? Are you going to eck at some birds? Is that your favorite? Yeah. He's going to look out that window right there and eck very silently. Yeah. Okay, let's go read. Okay. I am on page 348. And I can tell you right now, I had to stop. My hand hurt. I'm hungry. Also, I need to do a load of laundry. So I had to stop because I'm at the point where, like, if I keep going, I have to go through all the way to the end. Like, I'm not going to be able to stop, because I could already feel it pulling me like that, and it reached this really tense spot and whatever. It is wild how much of a different reading experience I'm having with the same story but just told in a different, better way. It's just wild. I mean, it also helps that I don't remember a lot. Anyway, my arm's starting to hurt, so I'm gonna go do all that crap, and then I'll be back once I've read a little further. Bye. Good God, y'all.
Good God, y'all. What is it good for? Absolutely. Let's say it again.
I have had a couple of hours. So I folded some laundry. I started cooking my dinner. You know, like making some vegan pasta sauce with like tricking myself into eating broccoli. Just kidding, I like broccoli, but when you can make vegetables into a sauce instead of having to eat the vegetables, it's just better. But then, did you guys know that your blender maybe could unscrew from the bottom? Because I sure didn't. For years, I had this old blender from like the 90s. And it didn't do that. It didn't do that. And then my dinner was suddenly all over the counter and the floor. And I had to clean it up because I should have taken a picture of it to show or a video. But I was just like my immediate instinct was panic cleaning. I hate it. I hate it when there's food everywhere. I can't. Anyway, so I just had some buttered noodles. That was terrible. I haven't read anything for obvious reasons, but I'm getting tired. It's 8:30. I don't know if I'm gonna finish. I'm not gonna finish tonight. It's not happening. I can tell you right now. So I guess I'll just have to finish in the morning. Get up early, finish in the morning, and then I guess I have book club at 10, so I'm not going to be able to edit it until I get home. So this video will probably up Sunday afternoon. Nothing I can do about it. Bye. Hello, I'm back from book club. It's 2 in the afternoon. I haven't finished the book. I have like 75 pages left, so I'm gonna just go do that right now, and then hopefully this video isn't hard to edit. So, but there goes getting it up in the morning on Sunday. There's just things don't work out. It's fine. Whatever. See, bye. Yo, just kidding. I'm finished. I liked it a lot. I figured I would do compile with you guys on camera so you could see. But I'm thinking it's going to be around a 4. Wasn't perfect, even with the rewrite. Like, the basic story structure is still reminiscent of a lot of dystopian books, which is a genre I don't normally read because they tend to be very samey when they're mixed with fantasy and young adult genre. Although this, I feel like, is an adult book at this point. I guess it's still technically classified as YA, but it doesn't feel like YA. It feels like adult book. Anyway, let's do compile. So, characters. Well, okay, so what I'm going to do, because if I compare these categories to the previous book, I'm going to like artificially inflate them. So, I think what I need to do is sit down and consider, well, okay, well, if this was the first time that I was reading this book, what would I give it? And I think it's going to be a more, it's a lower. I don't want to artificially inflate my rating because the other version of this was not as good as this. Ignoring the other version, how do I feel about the characters? Well, there's nothing lacking about them. Some of the tertiary characters could have done with a little bit more development, but the main, see, there we go again, like comparing to the old one, but I can't help it. Okay, I can't help it. Because I know what the character development was like in the other book, and that was not great. Paige herself was a very fresh-faced, typical young adult heroine who's like Ms. Naivete, super special, magical, popped into this place with no skills, but somehow still magically, like, you know what? But this version of her, she's very hardened. She's a criminal. She's a thief. She knows how to do things like this. So, yeah. I think the development is better, but I don't love any of the characters, if that makes sense. Like, it was an entertaining story, and I'm frankly awed at the way that she took this, like, story that didn't work before, and now it really works. But also, I don't love the characters. So, but there's nothing wrong with them. So I think I'm going to give it a 7. That's usually what I give books when they do that, when they're nothing wrong with the characters, but I don't love them. Atmosphere. Actually, I'm going to give that an 8. That was really strong in this book. Like the atmosphere in London, the atmosphere in the flashbacks, the atmosphere in Oxford, in the prison was all good. Writing. There was still some like moments where I was like, oh, well, maybe you could have fixed that a little more and you could tweak that a little more. But overall, redid this book at the ground level, like at the sentence level, she rewrote this. Like, I think she just literally started over with a fresh page is what she did. I mean, I'm so serious. I don't have a copy of the original book, but if I did, I feel like it would be really telling. I feel like it, anyway. Okay, so I'm going to say the writing was 8 for me is like nothing wrong with it. So I feel like I'm going to give it a 7.5. Okay, plot. It worked better here than it did previously. Oh, God, it keeps sinking down. It worked better here than previously, but again, it wasn't a very complex plot. It was like just a rebellion kind of plot from a dystopian totalitarian regime. And it's pretty, I'm going to give it a 7. Hopefully it'll get more complex as the books go. Intrigue, I'll give that a 7. Logic, I'm going to give it an 8. It did its job in this version. And enjoyment, I'm going to say 8. 4 stars. I knew it. Okay. So this has been a success.
A great success.
I'm very glad that I reread this. If you read The Bone Season 10 years ago and did not enjoy it, but still thought like this could have been great, try this version because she totally did I feel like she has the skills and the experience now to execute what her 19-year-old self wanted to do back then, but couldn't. I'm excited. I'm going to read, I have the next 3 books in the series, and book 5 comes out in February. I'm not going to be able to catch up by then, so that's not going to happen. But I'm thinking like maybe spring or summer I can be caught up by then. And I can read the 5th book. There's still 2 more to come. And then there's some novellas that I can read. But anyways, I enjoy this. So I am very curious about, like, I know that the actual words and the sentences that she used to tell the story are very different almost the whole way through. But I'm very interested to see what all the differences were besides that. So I know 2 things. The first is that, well, so I think I mentioned earlier that the refs, R-E-P-H-S, Rephaim, which by the way, I learned in the glossary, what's his name? The guy who they first presented themselves, Lord somethingbury, Palmerston? Yeah, Lord Palmerston. He's the one that called them the Rephaim, and that is apparently a race of giants from the Bible because they're big. Their source of food, source of energy in the netherworld, which is where they come from, is something else. And they don't have that food source anymore, so they have been subsisting on the auras of clairvoyant humans. And in the original version of the book, Warden feeds on Paige's aura. Obviously very much against her consent and against her will. And it gives it this whole creepy vibe. And I can't remember any other details of their relationship, but I remember feeling resentful that I was supposed to believe these 2 people have a connection with each other because it didn't work the way that it happened previously. But here, she slow burns the shit out of it, and they get to know each other, they talk a lot, and it's very clear that he's constantly protecting her and respecting her boundaries, and mostly he's just afraid that because she's such a wild card, she's gonna put him in danger. And so he feels like a different character in this because she knew how to execute the vision. And anyway, he does not feed on her in this version at all. So it just feels less like a teenager's fantasy of what a relationship could be, like very toxic, very like, what's the word I'm looking for? for? Tropey, you know, this feels more like an adult bond, an adult relationship that is forming between these two people. Now, granted, he is still way older than her. She's 19, 20 in this book. So that is, you know, can't change that, I guess. So I don't know when I'm going to do this the next time. It's not often that I decide to give books or authors second chances, but the next time I do, I will vlog it and we'll see how it goes. So I guess I'm 1-to-1 because Riley Sager, he was a bust, but Samantha Shannon and specifically The Bone Season was not. 4 stars. Editing Ashley, I forgot the second thing that I knew about the book. So the second thing that's different, I'm watching Bones, just ignore it. The second thing that I knew is that she added in childhood, like, flashback scenes. So I think that really worked out because we get to see where she came from and like what everything means to her, and it just provides like good context. So I don't know how many of those were added in versus how many were in the other one, because it seems like some of them might have been necessary, but I don't know, maybe she changed the book so much that they were only necessary in this version and not the other. So anyway, whatever, back to the end of the video. And I'm gonna go edit this video. It's so late. The algorithm is not gonna work for me this time. Hey, share, you know, tell all your friends, send them links. Just kidding, don't do that, it's obnoxious. If somebody sent me however long this video is going to be and that amount of video, I'd be like, I'm not watching this, get out of here. Anyway, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for watching my video. If you enjoyed it, please don't forget to leave me a like and subscribe if you want to. And let me know if you guys have read The Bone Season, either the old version or the new version, and how it went for you, or if you're planning on reading it. I recommend don't read the old one, just read this one. It's the same story, but better. So why would you want the inferior version? I ask you that. But if you don't have anything to say, please leave me, what's something, I don't think there's poppies. There's no poppy emojis. An anchor. Leave me an anchor for The Bone Season. See this? See the anchor? Anchor. It's the symbol of Scion. Yeah, thanks for dropping by. It's been a weekend. Okay, love you, bye.